Now, how was that transition out of college football to the real world?
Yeah, it was tough, dude. It was really tough when I look back on it. I think in the moment, I probably thought I was doing great, but reflecting on it now, I'm just like, man, I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I just have a new perspective on it. I got done playing football in December of 2016, and I had a small little injury the second to last game of my senior year, so I was kind of not working out a ton initially till I healed up. And I look at pictures of myself then, and I'm like, ugh, like, bro, you look disgusting. But
Just like like overweight, or what do you mean?
just like doughy.
Okay.
I mean, but for perspective, I hang out about 200 to 205 pounds now. And when I got done playing football, I was like 240.
Dang.
So I had no neck. I had a large stomach.
Looked like a college linebacker.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hilarious to think about the way that I ate too. I mean, I would crush Cane's, like a 7-piece Caniac. I was deleting
dude.
that on a regular basis.
I love Canes.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, that transition was tough. And as a college football player, I was somebody who cared a lot about my ability to play. And I also, to be frank with you, I didn't think I was that good. So I needed to make sure I was putting the right food in my body. I needed to make sure I was watching film. I needed to make sure I wasn't getting hammered. I needed to do everything right to give myself a chance to play. And so when I got done with football, I didn't have anything like that to kind of hold me accountable to. And honestly, dude, for about a year and a half after I got done, I just was kind of a degenerate. I mean, I was drinking a lot. I was blacking out like 2 nights a weekend typically for like a year and a half. Wow. And I'm just so thankful to God that I never got in trouble or hurt anybody else during that time frame, because I was just operating outside of who I am. And it's funny now because like I said, kind of took a break from working out, and then I moved in with my best buddy Troy is a professional triathlete. He played safety at SMU. He's a freak of nature. And I lived with him for 2 years, and it was during that 2 years that I think I saw the way he operated, and I just kind of like hitched myself to his train and just like kind of did what he did. And man, me and Troy, we were going to CrossFit every single day at 5:30 a.m., sometimes twice a day. And that was so huge because that was a reintroduction for me into fitness and health in a team environment and camaraderie that comes with working out at a CrossFit box. Mm-hmm. We were going all the time, like I said. And then when he actually started to get into triathlon stuff while we lived together. And so I would see this dude. I remember, I'll never forget this day. There was a weekday where he got up at like 3 so that he could do a 2-hour bike ride and a 1-hour run before he went into the office and worked, a 10-hour day at work.
Damn.
And so, yeah, that, like I said, that's my best friend. That'll be the best man at my wedding. Like he showed me that the work doesn't have to stop. Now that we're done playing college football, there's other ways to kind of push ourselves and stretch ourselves. And so, lived with him. I'm trying to remember where I was even going with that. Oh, you asked kind of about my transition out.
Yeah. Before you answer that, like, is that, that's gotta be a really common thing with people once they get out of college football. 'Cause it's like, I mean, it seems like college athletes train like a pro athlete almost. Like you're trying to do school on the side. You're probably not super passionate about whatever you're learning in school or whatever degree you're getting. And then like you finish up like playing football or college sports, it's like, well, now what do we do?
Right.
If you don't go pro, it's like when you've relied on that your whole life and that ends, it's like, I feel like you just feel lost probably, right?
Yeah. It's so funny you say doing school on the side.
I know people that play D1 sports, and it's like, that's your job. That's why you're there. You're not there to go to school, really.
Yeah. I think there's a video that's like student first, athlete second. But yeah, man, it's being a college athlete is a full-time job. Yeah. And when you take your grades seriously as well, it's hugely important that you can manage your time appropriately.
Yeah.
But you're 100% correct. Transitioning for me, I went my senior year from being a captain, media day, award nominee, flag hanging on campus that says SMU football, photo shoots, all these different things to you're a human resource business partner for a Fortune 500 company cool.
You're just a cog.
Bro, I had no idea how to operate. Dude. And I'm so thankful for health, for fitness, for training, for those things, because it gave me structure. It gave me reason to get up early, to do something hard, and to start my day that way. It gave me something to look forward to at the end of the day after sitting in the cube for however many hours. Fitness for me has always been about the physical, but it's always been so much about the mental too. And that certainly is something that gave me some level of structure, because to your point, college football was up at 5 for training room and weights, go to class all day, coming back to the training room in the afternoon for treatment. You got practice, you got film, you got study hall. Your whole day, you know what you're doing all day. When I became a business professional, all I had to do was go to work. That's all I had to do. Anything else I did was up to me. If I wanted to work out or not, if I wanted to get trashed every night of the week, I could, which I didn't, but plenty of people do. Like, you know, you just have all this extra time, and everybody has things that they like in hobbies, etc. I personally don't know how I could live if all I did was work, you know, whatever shift hours they were, and then come home and like sit on the couch and watch TV or play video games. And again, I'm not dogging those things, but for me personally, I needed some way to challenge myself.
Yeah. It gives you a sense of purpose, something
100%.
to train for. Dude, and I think that whatever like weird, like primal monkey energy we all have pent up inside of us, like we have to excrete that every single day. We have to get it out. Like even if it's going for a 20-minute walk, like I mean, look at how people lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Like we're just moving constantly. And then now modern society, it's like we're sitting in an office, we're sitting all day, we go to work, we can go to the grocery store, we can order Uber Eats. We literally don't have to do anything physical if we don't want to.
Don't have to leave the house. Dude,
literally, like you could literally survive your entire life without ever leaving your house because of all those things. And so I think, I don't think it's a coincidence that like with mental health and depression and anxiety and like suicide rates, all these things are going up. I don't think there's, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they're directly correlated. Yeah, dude, fitness and just movement are so essential. It's like, I don't know. Is that why you think, that like you said, it was like a year or two after you finished up where you were like, you're drinking more, you didn't really do a whole lot? Was it just because like you didn't have that purpose anymore?
Well, it's funny because even during that time that I was getting trashed, I was training equally as hard, which I think is maybe part of the reason why I made it out. Because I would go, like I said, I was CrossFit every single day, sometimes twice a day. I was still drinking and doing things that I don't do now, but I was training equally as hard, which is funny because now, like, dude, I can't wrap my head around the way that I used to get down. It's insane. But the initial question was, what was it again?
I think you kind of answered it, of just like that, like a couple year span where you were drinking more. You said you were a little doughy.
Yeah.
Like, it was just didn't quite know what you wanted to do. And was that the same time you were working this job for that big company?
Yeah. So I was with Texas Instruments at the time, which is a great company, but
they make the calculators, right?
Yeah, everybody knows them for the calculator. Yeah, they make microchips that are in everything we use. So all this podcasting equipment, there's probably a TI chip in it. I just knew I didn't want to be in human resources for my career. I mean, it's an incredibly important job function within a company. Like, I don't think companies can actually function without human resources, but I just knew that it wasn't going to be what I did with my career. But I gained valuable experience, and I had time to spend more time doing what I enjoyed, which was training. And that's why I think I was able to balance the bad habits of drinking the way that I was with the good habits of training the way that I was, and still function at work. Because frankly, like, I would go to work and I would get good feedback, but sometimes I would be in my cube and be like, there's no way this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, there's no way. And so I think it was just all, it all helped me transition. But I think something that I didn't experience until later was that when you've attached your identity to being a college football player or your performance as insert thing here for so long, when you're done with that thing, you have to figure out who you are.
Right.
And I think people grow and have these discoveries at different points in their life, but I think it's an active thing to figure out who you are. You're not going to just, I mean, maybe some people just know, but for me, honestly, I didn't really know who I was until a few years ago when I started to really think about, okay, well, what's important to me? What is my purpose? You know, why do I feel like God put me here on earth? What are my gifts? What do I enjoy doing? Where do these things intersect? Like, really thinking about that stuff is actually so important, because otherwise, like we talked about earlier, I think we put ourselves into roles and boxes that we believe society or our parents or whoever it may be expects us to fit into, even if they don't put us in those boxes. Mm-hmm. I think one thing I experienced for so long was, I think my parents think I should do this, or society views this as good or bad. So if that's the perspective that they all have, this is something I'm creating myself. If they all believe this, I need to fit in that box so that I'm doing well, so that I'm successful, so this and that. But you hit it on the head. The beginning of this conversation is everybody has a different definition of success. Like, success to you could be completely different than success to me. Success to somebody could be, I want to live in a Sprinter van and I want to drive across the country, live in a different state every week and a half, be primal, like spend a ton of time grounding and in nature. And that's what success looks like to me. For somebody else, it might be, well, I don't care what I have to do. I want to make $250 or $250,000 a year. Doesn't matter if I hate the job. I want to make that money so that I can go on vacation, so that I can buy a Porsche, whatever it may be. Like, everybody has a different definition of success. You have to define yours. Otherwise, you're just going to be operating based on what somebody else wants.
Yeah, you have to have some North Star, I think. And I think, unfortunately, either people don't know or they just haven't taken the time to think about it. Of like, what do I truly want? What do I want? Not what my parents told me I should have. Like you said, like, what does society deem as good or successful? And like, just genuinely like sit down with yourself and like, I don't know, meditate every day or journal or just think to yourself of like, what do I want? And I think it's so difficult to get like alone time with yourself, as weird as that sounds. It's because like with social media and our phones and TV, and we get in our cars and there's music playing, like everywhere you go, there's some stimulus of some kind, some external stimulus. Mm-hmm. And like, it's so rare to actually just like sit down with your thoughts and just think. And I think, kind of ties into everything else I said earlier with like these mental health problems, is like people are just constantly stimulated with all this information. They don't ever just think about what they want. Do you do like journaling or meditation, or like, is fitness kind of play that role for you, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So I've actually experimented with a lot of different types of that practice, if you will. Before I talk about it, anybody listening, go read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
I haven't heard of that. Got
to read it. It's phenomenal and hits on a lot of stuff you just said.
What's the name of it?
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. But yeah, man, for me, I've experimented with a lot of different stuff. I have utilized multiple different kind of journaling practices around like, wake up and write down one thing you're grateful for, forgive yourself for something that you did, whether it be yesterday or years in the past, and then write down something that you envision for yourself in the years to come. I've done simply just writing down, like in a journal, what's on my mind in that moment when I wake up. And I found that it's actually been kind of challenging for me to get the right order of operations when I wake up, because I love to train first thing in the morning, but a lot of people will say journal right when you wake up. So kind of gone back and forth with that. But I think some sort of journaling practice is certainly beneficial, whether it's writing down things you're grateful for, writing down those 3 thoughts I mentioned, or figuring out what exactly works for you. But it doesn't have to take long, and then you can go on about your day. I've also I've experimented with meditation. So there's a ton of various apps you can download to walk you through a guided meditation. But sometimes what I'll just do is literally sit there, set a timer on my phone for like 3 to 5 minutes and just breathe in for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and just focus on my breath and be present. And you can also do like 6 inhale, 2 hold, 8 exhale, but different variations of that, but just things that help you be present where you are. I didn't understand grounding for a long time, but the whole purpose of grounding, walking barefoot, is to ground yourself and be present in that moment, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, certainly have experimented with various writing and meditation, but 100%, dude. I mean, movement, whether it's running, cycling, going on a walk, lifting, that is typically where I can just be in my thoughts, be in the present moment, and do that thing for me. And a lot of times I don't even listen to music or a podcast. And same thing goes for when I'm in the car. Like, I'll just be in silence, because to your point, there is always noise, always distraction.
Yeah.
Like, I won't give the whole book away, but one thing in the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry that the author talked about was, like, when you go to the grocery store and you get in the checkout line, don't pull out your phone. Just be in the present moment, wait in line, notice what's going on around you. Don't just distract yourself from being there at the store. Like, just be present for a second. And yeah, I mean, every year in the beginning of the year, I fast for 3 weeks. And this year from something, whether it's, in the past I've done sweets, or
I thought you were talking about like a full-on fast. I was like, holy shit.
I haven't done that. I haven't done that myself, but basically we pick things to fast from. And so this year it was the first time I had fasted from social media.
It's like a version of Lent, right?
Yeah. But dude, the clarity and just how good I felt having been off of social media for that period of time was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. So I can't stress enough. I mean, no matter how uncomfortable you are with that idea, I would empower anybody to just take a break from social media for a month or however long you see fit, and just notice how you feel.